All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lasting Learning Podcast. I hope that you are buckled in if you're driving. If you are at home, get yourself in a nice, comfy spot. Get yourself in a position where you are not going to be distracted because today's episode is going to blow your mind. This is an episode that I am so excited to record because I feel like I get to just sit down and chat with a friend and really find out what makes her tick. Today, we've got a woman on who, no bones about it, she inspires the crap out of me. She is doing all the things, and she does all the things so amazingly well. I'll let her tell her story, but she's a middle school teacher, number one. Middle school people have a special place in my heart, and she loves being a middle school educator. She is one of the Teach Better Team's lead ambassadors. She is a blogger. She's been on podcasts. You see her all over the place. You hear her voice everywhere, and she's just absolutely amazing. Today, I've got the one, the only Meghan Deegan on with us. Meghan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. That was quite the intro. I don't even know what to say. I feel like we can just
right? And you're reaching thinking, now, what if that wasn't real? I mean, I got to shut him down with something, but it's all true, so you can't. Every single thing I said is spot on true.
Yeah.
But there might be some more. There might be some more that I left out, right? Can you just, who is the real Meghan? Introduce yourself to the world.
You left out the most important part. Like, yes, I teach middle school, but I teach math. I teach the grade.
I left that out on purpose.
So Meghan Deegan, I am a 7th grade math teacher, which I always get whenever I say 7th grade, everyone asks me why. I love them. I adore them. I could not be in another grade level. They're just my favorite. And so I teach in the suburbs of Chicago, and this is my 9th year teaching, which just seems totally insane to me. But yeah, it's been 9 years, and I am actually just changed my title at the Teach Better team. I am now the Ambassador Program Coordinator, which I had to
boom.
Remember. I know, moving up, getting a little bit more important, I guess. Yeah. No, so it's awesome. I get to work with kids. I get to work with other educators. It's just such an incredible, I feel like, mix, and I could not possibly love it more. It's the best of both worlds.
That's awesome. So one thing that I just picked up from that, you said it's your 9th year. In my eyes, you are a veteran middle school teacher because I was a middle school teacher for 8 years. So you've got me beat. That's amazing. So I'm going to start leaning on you for middle school wisdom. All things that I need to know. Be ready. I'm coming to you. So in my career, I spent 8 years as a classroom teacher and then was a middle school AP and a middle school principal. Then I took a little detour and became an elementary principal and had to hang out. And I said had to. Middle school is all get to. Went down and had to hang out with the little guys, the little kids. I'll be honest with you. Hanging out in kindergarten classrooms was my happy place at the elementary because it was no different than hanging out in a 7th grade classroom. 7th grade classrooms, there's a little bit more funk, a little bit more odor, a little bit more hair, but the personalities are the same. A lot of whining, a lot of crying, a lot of pulling on your pant leg saying, I need you, I need you, I need you. Lots of hugs, lots of smiles. I mean, that's really what it's all about. And that's middle school.
That is the perfect analogy. Like, it really is. There are a lot of times where I will tell them, like, guys, I teach 7th grade, not kindergarten. Right. But really, I mean, it's funny too, because I always compare them to kindergartners. It's never any other grade level. It's always kindergartners. But it really are. Again, they definitely have more of a smell sometimes, but they are just larger kindergartners, and I just love it so much.
The reality is, those of us that love middle schoolers, we're just larger middle schoolers. So in essence, we are just big kindergartners walking around living life. Now, have you always known that that's what you wanted to do?
No, actually, it's really funny. I swore I would never teach middle school. When I started, I have known since I was in 8th grade that I wanted to be a teacher, and I knew that I wanted to teach math because it was the one subject I was really good at, one subject that I really liked. And it was also the subject where I felt like so many people didn't like it and so many people struggled. So I wanted to like make them like it. And I felt like maybe I could do that. So that's actually what I tell my kids all the time. I'm like, I'm going to make you love math. Like, I hope you're okay with that. But I went in with the intention of teaching high school. I swore that I would never, ever, ever teach anything other than high school. And I went to Illinois State University, and when you go into secondary education, and I don't know, it's probably like this in some other colleges too, I majored in math. So they made me major in math because then if I changed my mind, I had a major in math, I can take that many places. And to get my middle school endorsement, it was only 2 extra classes. So I was like, well, might as well. I mean, I had room in my schedules anyways to get all my credits in order to graduate. So I took the 2 extra classes, and then I ended up student teaching in a 7th grade classroom, and I have never looked back. I don't know. It was crazy. I went in with it and I was like, I was excited, obviously, to student teach, but it was like 7th grade and I had always wanted high school. And I had only ever done my clinical hours in high school. So I was like, this is going to be a very big change for me. And I just fell in love. And now I just can't leave. I've taught 8th grade. So in my first district, I taught 7th grade and 8th grade. So I've had both of the grade levels, but majority of my time has been in 7th grade. And I just love middle school. And now I just can't leave.
That's awesome.
I'm stuck there. I just love them.
And 7th grade is that sweet spot. It really is. In 6th grade, they're big elementary kids. In 8th grade, they are gross and think they're grown. 7th grade, they still want you. They still like you. They still want you to sign their yearbook, all that fun stuff. You have to pose in all their selfies. I mean, 7th grade is the place to be. You are like the god in their eyes, right? You can do no wrong. Is that?
I mean, it depends on the day.
Okay.
It really depends on the day. But they're great. They still laugh at all my jokes. That's what's really important. I feel like the 8th graders think they're a little bit too cool for me. So I had to have the kids that were still going to find me funny. Sometimes it's not funny, but they laugh anyway, so it's okay.
That's important. That's the reason you do this. You got to have somebody that laughs at you. So I want to go back and I want to talk your idea of becoming a math teacher because you were good at it and you wanted other people to like math. So I'm going to ask you probably the hardest question I'm going to ask. Why do we need to learn sine and cosine? Does that matter in the grand scheme of life?
I feel like I'm a lot of math teachers.
Don't answer. Okay, don't
if you're a math teacher, cover your ears right now. Do not listen to this part. Skip ahead a little bit. No. Woo! I mean, no. But I think here's the thing. Like, I can tell you, I've never used it. I've been out of college now for how many years? And no, I teach middle school. If I taught high school, I'd use it, every year. But, and I do think that there are probably times when there are certain people that do use it. And those people are way smarter than I am and have a really, really important job. But it's, I don't. And I get that question more all the time. Like my kids are always, why do we have to learn this? Why? And so, there are times when I'm like, guys, I got to figure that out. I will get back to you tomorrow, but I will tell you a job or a career that uses this, which is kind of why I really love middle school math too, because it is really that math that is relative to them outside of what they're doing in my classroom, and not just because they're going to need it, because they need to pass 7th grade and because they need it for 8th grade, which is valid, but not the greatest answer, especially when they're 7th graders. That's not good enough for them.
Right. And one of the things about teaching middle school is that you are constantly on this quest to make the learning relevant to them, because telling them that they're going to need it for the future doesn't necessarily get them the satisfaction and does not get you the buy-in. Right now, they are all going to be YouTubers, either that or professional athletes. So trying to explain to them why they're going to need really any subject in school to help them in their future gets quickly dismissed. Trying to figure out ways that they can use it today in their life as a 13 or 14-year-old, that's where the magic is, but that's also where the challenge is for a teacher. So how do you as a middle school math teacher work to make sure that your kids buy into what you're teaching them and understand that this is going to help them be successful down the road and today?
It's hard sometimes. No, and I do 100% agree with what you said. My seventh graders can't see past seventh grade.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know they go to eighth grade, they know they go to high school, but their life, like everything that happens every day is like the end of the world to them. And I mean, it is like, that is their world. And so I agree, I can't say, oh, you're going to need it next year. Oh, you're going to need this in high school. I mean, I will tell them those things, and I will be very honest, guys, if this is hard for you now, this is going to be really hard. You're going to struggle a lot, and I don't want that to happen. But that's not something that they care about. So I think a lot of the things is figuring out what they love. My kids, not just my boy, my kids love sports. That is like, for a lot of them, that is how I get them. We start our year with positive and negative numbers. And I swear by May, I am still like, how do we not understand positive and negative numbers? But I will still remember this. It was, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago. One of my boys could not possibly understand positive and negative numbers. We were talking about it in money. We were talking about it every way I could think of. And then I finally stopped and I was like, okay, you have 5 points and, somebody scores 8 points. Like, what's the difference there? And suddenly it was like, I was getting answers like that. And I was like, really? Or I was like, football, you're on the 20-yard line and you lose 10 yards. And like, they can answer me. And I'm like, okay, so this is now what is relative to you. So when we talk numbers, we are forever just going to talk sports, because if that's how you understand it, then that's how I'm going to say it. And I'm okay with that. If that's all it takes is for me to explain it in a way that makes sense to you, because it's something that you're interested in, something that you already understand, great, we'll do it that way. I don't care.
Well, I love that. And it's going to be an awesome segue to where I want to go next. And that's going to build onto something else. So just be ready. It's like, I'm building. This is the appetizer. The main course is going to get real hard. So one of the things that I appreciate about you is that you're real. I mean, you are a straight shooter. There's no sugarcoating. It's just, this is me. This is what I'm thinking. But what I also appreciate about you is that you're not just a rule follower where you have to check the boxes. And I'm imagining in your classroom, it's the same way with your kids. You don't want your kids to just do things because you said so, or just memorize a bunch of algorithms and formulas. You are trying your best to explain to kids why things work so that they understand the concept, so that they have numeracy and it makes sense to them. Whether it's through football and sports analogies or whatever you're doing, you want them to understand the concept. I'm wondering if you were to take yourself back to middle school Meghan, and you said that you were good at math. Was it because you were good at following the rules and just memorizing the steps and the algorithms? Or was it because you're kind of like this, I don't want to say renegade, but you're a person that's like, no, I got to make sense of this. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it. And you were constantly looking for the why behind it?
I feel like I was a little bit of both. I think that was like the moment though that I decided that I wanted to be a teacher, was because I had a teacher that wasn't just the here, memorize this. And it became the explaining of the why. And then it was like, oh, I understand why this is happening, or why I'm getting this answer, or why this works. And that was the part where I was like, had I known this all along, I would remember things a lot easier. And that is how I am with my kids. Like, I don't just want you to go memorize things. Like they get shocked all the time because I always put formulas up on the board while they're taking like assessments. They're like, oh, or I'll put examples up. They're like, oh, you left the formula up. And I'm like, but yeah, who cares? If you don't understand how to use the formula, having it in front of you is not going to help you at all. Having an example in front of you is not going to help you if you don't actually understand what you're doing. So I don't care if you have a formula. I don't care if you have an example. If you don't know what you're doing, that's the problem. Like, that's what we need to fix. That's what we need to work on. And if you know what you're doing, that formula and that example, you're probably not even going to look at it. It's like a security link. It's just there to like make you feel better, but you don't actually need it. So I think that, and I know there's a lot of teachers that, disagree with that. Those are the things that I just don't care about. I'm not going to make you memorize formulas, because I remember when I was in high school and in college, I got to write as much as I wanted on a little index card before I went into like my finals and stuff like that. And if I was able to have all that, and my kids will argue with me all the time when it comes to a calculator, they're like, but we're always going to have one. And that is a very valid point. I don't let them use a calculator in our first unit when we are using number sense. And, you know, I tell it to them all the time. I'm like, you can have, once you understand how to do it, you can use your calculator. But if you don't understand how to do it and you type something in your calculator and you type it in wrong, you're not even going to know your answer's wrong because you don't understand what you're doing. And, you know, I tell them all the time, they get very offended by this, but when they have a job, and I mean, they're 12 years old, they're not too far off from like having a job and making money. It's, you know, if you have a job and you're making money and you look at your check and you have no idea what it's supposed to be, how are you going to know if somebody rips you off or makes a mistake? And I'm like, because if I find out that I can rip you off in terms of money, I'm going to do it all the time because you're never going to know. And they're like, what you do? But I'm like, but you have to be smart enough and know, at least understand how and have some number sense of like, okay, I should be around here. So this is either way off or, you know, I'm correct. So it is that, like, I want them to understand that why. I really don't care how much support they need in getting there, as long as they can explain to me how, which I actually think, I'm going on a really long tangent here, but it leads into, you know, we're in a process right now where we are going to be doing all of this for the most part virtually with our kids. And I keep hearing teachers, but how do you know that they're not cheating? How do you know that they're the ones taking the test? How do you know that they're not using their calculator or looking at the answers? And I'm like, ask them a question that's not on the assessment, and you're going to know immediately. Either they know it or they don't. I don't need to give them an assessment to know whether my kids understand it. It's easier to give them an assessment and be like, here, answer these questions, then I can look at it. But if you just have a conversation with your kid, you're going to know what they know. They can't lie to you in a conversation.
So many places I want to go right now. Oh, you just opened up the can of worms and you're smiling because you know it.
I know.
But I'm going to stay true to what I wanted to ask, and I will circle back. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go here. And I'm not even going to talk assessment yet, but I want to talk about some of the stuff that you're talking about right now. That I can't imagine how much sleep you get at night, because I feel like your brain is just never shutting off. I feel like you are always asking yourself, why? Is there a better way? Is there a better way? And I feel like you don't take things at face value. You want to get to the why behind everything. Is that an accurate assessment, or?
Yeah, it might be what gets me in trouble sometimes. But I will say this. I will say this for the record. I have always said this. I question, like, I do it in my classroom too. So I don't ever, you know, sometimes it probably comes across as me just questioning what everyone else is doing, but I question what I'm doing too. Like if I'm doing something, it's, you know, why am I doing this? If it doesn't have a purpose, then it's got to go. Like, then there is no point. But I will always do what is best for my kids. And if I get asked to do something and I don't like it, but you can explain to me why it is what's best for my kids, then I will do it in a heartbeat. I don't need to like it to do it. That's where my like frustration comes in, though, is when either you can't tell me why we're doing it, or why we're doing it is not what's in the best interest of my kids. So yes, I do always look for the why, but it's really just to make sure like that my kids are getting the best, which makes it okay, right?
I feel like I would love to be your administrator today, but my first couple of years of being an administrator, I would have run from you. If I would have saw you coming down the hall, I would have run the other direction, because I was so focused on, I have to create itty bitty schmitties. You have to do things my way. And I'm finally to this point now where I'm like, oh man, there are some smart people in this world. Maybe my job would be easier if I just listened to people more and let them take the lead. I'm wondering, back when you were a kid, were you a rule follower, a rule breaker, a questioner? Were you grounded all the time, or were you given tons of independence?
I was definitely a rule follower. I do think that I asked why a lot. I do think I questioned a lot of things, but I think it was more in like a curiosity. Like even now, I don't, and I know that sometimes it doesn't come across that way, but I don't question just a question to question. Like it's genuinely out of curiosity. And again, most of the time it's genuinely to understand, because I think like I know my intentions, and I know when I do things with my kids that in my mind, my kids are always coming first. Mm-hmm. So I do tend to question people that are outside of my classroom, because I know that they don't know my classroom that well. And so, you know, like my administrators, they have, I don't even know, probably 60 staff members and, you know, probably 850 kids. So I get that when they're thinking through things, it's a very big picture. So when I question why, it's really to be specific towards my kids and what the intent is, and, you know, if it's what's best for my kids. So I was definitely a rule follower. I definitely asked questions a lot, but because I was a rule follower, I got a lot of independence.
See, what I want to clarify something. I don't see you as like a rebel. The way that if I were to pick a word to describe you, I would say genius. And I'm not saying that with like just to flatter you, but you're a genius because I feel like you know the right questions to ask. It's one thing to have a bunch of answers, but I feel like you always ask the right question to try to get everybody else thinking about things a little bit differently. And it's not just to poke the bear or to rattle the cage. I feel like you are constantly on a quest to learn more, to do more, and to keep doing things better and better and better. But it's also got to be exhausting, isn't it?
It really is. But I think that is like a huge part of it. A lot, like when I'm questioning it, it's really because I don't have all the answers. But I know that like somebody does,
Mm-hmm.
or if the conversations are happening, there can be an answer, you know, that we collaboratively come up with. So I don't have all the answers. I am nowhere near the best teacher by any means. And so that's, you know, like I question a lot of things because like I just want to know more and I want to learn and I want to be better every day. And, you know, again, there's so much to learn from so many people. And so if I can question what they're doing and learn from them, it's only going to make me better. But I'm also a huge people pleaser too. So that, you know, I like find that balance. And usually I don't find that balance well, but I try because I will do what a lot of people want me to do. And now I've gotten to more of the like questioning really to make sure that it is going to be what's best for me and for my kids.
All right, Megan, lay on the couch. It's time to go to the shrink. Let's break this down a little bit.
Oh goodness.
No, but I'm just gonna be as real as I can be. You don't just teach 13 and 14-year-olds. You teach adults too. I can honestly say that I am a better human being because of conversations I've had with you. You say that you are a people pleaser, but you are so genuine. At least that's how it appears to me. I feel like you are one of the most honest people I know because you speak truth and you speak what's on your heart first and then what's on your mind. Hearing that extra layer of being a people pleaser, I'm wondering, do you feel like sometimes those worlds collide? And I'll speak from my own truth first so that so I can frame this a little bit better. I went a long time trying to wear multiple hats around different people, trying to be the person that those people needed me to be, or who I thought they needed me to be. And I would walk into, for example, as an administrator, a staff meeting with my teachers in front of me, and my superintendent would walk in, and I would freeze, not knowing which character I was supposed to be. Was I supposed to be the assertive boss? Was I supposed to be the submissive underling to the superintendent? Was I supposed to be colleague and friend to the teachers that I hung out with? I mean, and I had a very difficult time trying to navigate all of that because I was so focused on trying to be who they wanted me to be in their eyes. And I'm just now getting to the point, literally over the last couple of years, where I'm breaking free of that, saying, whew, I can just be free and I can just be me. So I say all that because I'm seeing you nodding your head. So those people that are just listening, she's nodding the affirmative, because who you strike me as is the person that I want to be. You strike me as that person that is just, you are Megan to all people at all times. So to hear that people pleaser thing is kind of like, ooh, I didn't know that. And I want to unpack that a little bit, but I want to make sure that you understand that I admire you beyond all belief. And it's refreshing to hear that, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, it's, well, and I was nodding along because I have felt the same way, and it's taken, and I'm very far from where I'd say I'm very far from where I like want to be, but I know that I've at least come a long way in the 9 years that I've been teaching. And I'm a people pleaser in terms of I want to do everything for everyone that needs me to do something. And I want to be able to do it all. And I don't want to, for, I'm getting better at this, but for a long time, it was, and, I think a lot of first year teachers are like this at the very beginning. You come in and you're super just thankful to have a job, and you're learning how to be a teacher. I know that you go through college. I know that you go through student teaching, but there will never come a point in time where anything prepares you for walking into your own classroom, because there's always been somebody else in there who can step in. And so I remember my first few years, and to be honest, it still happens to me now, where every once in a while I look around and I'm like, oh, I'm in charge. Like, it is just me. Sometimes I'm like, is there a more like adult of an adult around that could maybe like answer this question for me? But I think that I was trying to just be what was expected of me. And that's great. And you'll keep your job and you'll do very well. But I don't think I was growing. I wasn't becoming better. And when I switched districts, I was starting my 5th year of teaching. And that was kind of when I was like, okay, this is what has frustrated me while I've been teaching. And I haven't really done much to change it, because I've just been trying to play by the rules and make everybody happy. And in order to do what I wanted to do, I knew that I was going to be, I'll say, pushing the boundaries, not in a bad way, but changing things. And there's a lot of people that don't like change, and they push back on that. So I really had to just be okay with the criticism that came along with that. And for me, where I was like, people are not liking this, and people are criticizing this, and people are saying it's not good, and do I need to just stop? But what made me okay with it was the fact that I knew why I was doing what I was doing. That was firmly what I believed was best for my kids. And I will, to this day, like, if you come into my classroom, you can disagree with me all you want, and I will absolutely take your feedback, because I am not by any means the best teacher, whether it be math or middle school. I have a lot to learn, and I can grow a lot. But I firmly believe that what I'm doing now is what's best for my kids. And there's always room to make it better. But I think that that's kind of allowed me to be more okay with the fact that I'm not making everyone happy, and I don't have to. I think it's now too, I'm much more okay with being able to disagree with someone and learn from that. Like, I love having people that agree with me. Obviously, it's great when you have people that agree with you all the time, but I love having people that disagree with me, because it pushes me to think differently and to question things. And there are things that I've been like, oh, well, yeah, that I could be doing that better, or I could be doing that differently. And so I welcome the people who want to criticize and disagree with me, or bring a new perspective in, because that helps me grow. So there's that fine line. And I think I'm very far from where I would like to be, because I still do at times really just want to make everybody happy and do whatever they want me to do. But I think that there is that boundary, and I'm starting to separate that better and better.
I can't wait to watch your journey over the next 10 to 15 years, because I'll say it, and feel free to disagree with this. At some point in that time frame, you're going to be in charge of your own school, and you're going to have people that come to you asking for answers on how to do things. And I can see you turning around to them and saying, why? What do you think? And asking them to own their own process, and asking them to reflect and grow. And a lot of teachers are very uncomfortable with that, because most teachers were very good at playing school. They were very good with the system of there's an answer. I just follow the script. I obey. I check the boxes, and I'm good. And there is definitely a time and a place for that. But I see one of your gifts is you want people to own it, reflect on it, learn, understand the process. I'm wondering, is that in your future? Is that part of what might be down the road for Meghan? Or we'll just kind of see what happens because you don't want to open that door yet.
We'll just
yes.
I don't know.
I nailed it.
We'll see what happens. I and I think part of it for me is like I have my master's and it's not in administration, and I just got nationally board certified. And so part of it for me is like, do I want it's a huge debate. Like, do I want to go down that road, and do I want to eventually do that? I don't know yet. I don't know.
I can see you being.
I'll
be your career planner here.
Okay.
I can see you being an amazing curriculum director, because you would not necessarily be the person that creates all the documents and the maps and the guides for the teachers. You would be that person that starts with asking the question, what is curriculum? What is it? Is it the resource? Is it the map? Is it the what you have to do? And you would allow teachers to own their classrooms and to have that autonomy to learn their students. And you would be there as that resource manager. That's what I see you doing. Take that, leave it, whatever, planting a seed, hopefully tuck it away somewhere. And in a year or two, you can be like, oh my gosh, Dave, look, this is what I'm doing. And I'll say, I knew it. I knew it all along. So you don't have to respond to that at all, because I know that's putting you completely on the spot. Let's shift, because there's more to Meghan than even just being a classroom teacher. And I say just in the most humble way possible. I say it because you do 1,000 things. You talked a little bit about the Teach Better team and how you now have this new fancier title. Huh? Talk to people that don't know Teach Better team. First of all, let's lift the rock up that they're living under.
Seriously.
What are you doing with the Teach Better team, and why? You're a teacher. That's exhausting enough. Why do more?
Well, first of all, if you don't know the Teach Better team, you better go find them, because it is the greatest group of people you will ever meet. But I think that is why I do what I do with them, because they are the greatest people that I have ever met. And they constantly make me better. Every conversation I have with anybody on the team, with you, with Caitlin, I literally was just talking to Caitlin and Ray today, because I was like, I need help, and you two have such great ideas. Like, give me all your thoughts. But it's just such a supportive environment and supportive family. And so basically, I met them, loved them, stalked them until they made me part of the team. That's really how it went. But no, it was one of those where I just loved everything that they had to offer and everything they were, and their just amount of support. And so I and Andrea, who I cannot forget, my partner in crime, we really just wanted to be more involved because we loved their message, and that was what we wanted to spread. And so through that and a conversation with Jeff, the ambassador program became a thing, and we built it. And of course we had it set to launch, and then COVID happened, and it, obviously that got pushed to the side because there were so many other things. And then there was another conversation that was like, all right, this sounds like the right time. Like, let's do it. So I now get to work with, we have 25 ambassadors, and they're just the greatest people on the entire planet. And I can say that because you're one of them, and I just love them. And I get to just literally just get to know and connect with 25 incredible educators from just around the country. And it's just awesome. It's people who feel the same way about the Teach Better team, who love what they do, and just want to share all of that out all the time. It's awesome. It's just the best thing ever.
For those people that don't know the Teach Better team or the concept that we're talking about, let me try to equate it a different way. So imagine that you go to a concert and you see your favorite artist on stage, and they recognize you, and you connect with them, and then you become best friends with that artist. And then that artist says, hey, we're wanting to start a fan club. We want you to be the lead of the fan club. You get to connect with us all the time. And guess what? You're doing such an amazing job with that. We're going to like give you a fancier title than fan club director. You get to be like queen bee of all things that we do. That's kind of what you do right now. I mean, the Teach Better team is a bunch of people that are out there rocking and rolling and changing schools and education. And you are just bringing all these communities and these people together, making magic happen and doing an amazing job as well. You know, you mentioned that I'm an ambassador. And again, this is going to be this fan the flames of Meghan a little bit. The reason I'm an ambassador is because I got a little message one day that from you that said, "Hey, we're going to start this thing. Don't really know much about it. You want to be in?" I had absolutely no idea, but I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in. I'm in, Meghan, because you're awesome." And that's truly as simple as it was, because of the people. And you are the people. You are that connector, and you're doing amazing things for a lot of people. So,
which, by the way, we so appreciate, because that, you are not joking. That is how the message went. There was no detail. We were just like, "Hey, we're doing this. We want you to be a part of it." And you were like, "Yes." But that is my favorite part, is even when we put the ambassador program out and we like launched it, and I'm not even gonna say launched it, we were promoting it. Everybody was so excited about it, and they had no idea what it was.
Right.
They were just like, "I'm in." But that's the best part, is everybody just says yes because of, and that I think speaks just volumes to the Teach Better team and the Teach Better family and what they've created. When you have that many people that say yes without knowing anything else, like it doesn't get better than that. You have clearly created something that people just want to be a part of, and they don't care in what aspect or what it looks like or how it is. They just want to be a part of it. Well, and everybody says like, we're so honored to be ambassadors. I'm like, I'm honored that you wanted to be an ambassador, and I'm honored that now I get to connect with you. That's what this really is. It was really created just so that Andrea and I could hang out with a bunch of really cool people.
Well, it works. But honestly, it's the same essence of what happens in classrooms, especially like a middle school math classroom. I can only imagine the parents that walk up to you and say, "I don't know any of this math stuff that you're teaching my kid," but they love you and they love coming to your classroom. I mean, that's what it's all about. We talk all the time about how important relationships are, but oftentimes in schools we say relationships matter so that I can teach kids. But no, it's just relationships matter. Put a period in it and leave it right there, because people grow people. And you as a teacher are growing people, and you use the lens of math to help grow people. Just like the Teach Better team, they want to teach the grid method and some pedagogical stuff, but they are growing people. And there's no agenda behind the relationships. There's no, "I'm going to grow relationships so that I can anything." Again, that goes back to the who you are. You didn't even necessarily know what the ambassador program was going to look like. You knew that they kind of said yes, they tapped you and said, "Yeah, go ahead and run with this." And you're like, "Okay, we'll figure it out. Let's just start connecting with people and see what happens." And it's still this evolution where you're finding out the needs of people and growing it. So I'm curious now for you, because you are doing a lot of serving of other people, and you are growing a ton of people. I've already said you grow me more than you know. Where do you see yourself growing? What is the thing that Meghan not just wants to be, but who do you want to be?
Oh man, that's a big question. I think I'm going to say right now, specifically, I feel like the area that I'm really trying and growing in right now, I am really, really, I mean, it kind of goes back to, I guess, being a people pleaser, but I just really love helping other people, and I love connecting, and I oftentimes, most of the time, put me last, and it eventually, it very much so starts to wear on you. So for me, I am really focusing on being able to fill my bucket and take the time and do things for me so that I can help other people. There's nothing that I love more than working all day with my colleagues or being with my kids all day. I love it. It makes me the happiest. And then to be able to connect with other teachers and work with other teachers, I love that. But I've also learned that like I have to take time and do things that I love and make time. And for me, that specifically means I have to make and set aside specific time. So I'm really working on growing in that way and like being okay with that. Because I, for a while, would be like hard on myself when I wanted to do something for me. And because I'm like, well, I could be doing this or I could be doing this. And I think that as teachers, we wear a lot of hats, and there's nothing that I want more than for my kids to know they are consistently supported. And that means even when you're at home at 8 o'clock at night, if you need something and you email me. But I think that there is also that it's okay sometimes to put yourself first. I'm really working on that one. That's a struggle sometimes.
It is a struggle because you said that serving other people brings you joy, and you sometimes doing things for yourself that should bring you joy brings guilt. So it's trying to manage those two feelings, those two emotions, and trying to suppress the guilt so you can actually enjoy the moment.
Yes.
and enjoy just being on for you for a little bit. But yeah, it is desperate. And I think sometimes one of the things that works for me, take this or leave it, is you put those times for you on the calendar and you truly make that a job. And you say, I have to sit down and watch TV today. It's not an I get to, you make it an I have to. And then the guilt is gone because, oh my gosh, now I have to sit down and watch TV, and you're not feeling like you're doing something for you. You feel like you're actually accomplishing a job or accomplishing a task, but you calendarize it and make it part of your to-do list so that you have to knock it off. It's a baby step. That's kind of where I am, because I feel you. I feel the pain. And I think there's a lot of teachers that are listening to this that are responsible for teaching 150 kids a day. They've got their own families at home. They feel like they're always on, but again, that's their why. That's why they do what they do. And the teacher guilt is a real thing. It is a very real thing. How do you see yourself progressing in that then? What are you going to do? Give me something tangible that Meghan is going to do in this coming school year so I can hold you accountable to it. And I'll be voxing you on a regular basis to say, Meghan, did you do it? So put it out there.
So I'm going to say two things. One thing that I've been doing, I'm going to keep doing. So I have like just terrible anxiety 99% of the time. But part of it just comes from everything that I have going on and, the wanting to please everyone. But I work out every morning. So I get up at 4:30. Everybody thinks I'm like crazy. But I do that because that's my me time. And one thing that I've started doing, and I just started this recently, I put my phone on do not disturb while I'm working out. That way I'll get my emails, I'll get my text messages, my whatever, I will get to all that. But when I'm done, like I need my me time. And
that is a Caitlin Giordano special right there. That came from her, didn't it?
Maybe, I don't even remember. There was just one day where I was literally mid-workout. And, I have my watch. So everything that's going to my phone is going to my watch. And I was just like, I'm so distracted. I'm like, why am I even working out right now? I'm not enjoying this because I'm getting frustrated because I just keep getting, so I was like, nope, do not disturb. And from that point on, I was like, this was the greatest thing ever. Why I didn't do that before? Couldn't tell you. But I'm also going to start I'm probably going to start slow with like two nights a week, maybe 3, where I really do chunk out an hour of time. I am like I'll say I'm a total nerd. And it's probably like the math part of me, but like, other than teaching, I have a weird love for like financial, like literacy, I guess is the right way to say it. So like budgeting and like all that stuff. Oh yeah, we have bank accounts in my classroom for my kids and they get paid weekly and all that stuff. But I like love that. That like makes me happy. So I'm just going to like start doing like chunking out 2 hours a week where I can do like dedicate it to that because it's something that like I like to do. It makes me happy and I'm still going to be learning and I'm hoping that I can learn more ways where I can bring more into my classroom. But so that's kind of one of the things I'm going to start doing actually next week. So.
That's awesome. Like you're actually taking classes? Is that what you're doing or?
Not at first. I do really want to, but not at first. At first There's like it's a free like class. I guess, yeah, it kind of is like a class, but it's more like a self-paced thing for free that I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with that. And if I like it, then I'm going to.
That's awesome.
Ends up
Yay.
your dirty love.
That's so cool. So cool. Money and numbers and teaching middle schoolers. Yes, you are weird, but amazing. It's so cool. So cool. So Meghan, with all of that, all the stuff that you have going on and all the wisdom, all the nuggets that you've dropped on us over the last 50 minutes, holy cow, 50 minutes. It feels
Wow.
like it's been like that.
It really does.
What is the thing that you want people to remember about Meghan Deegan, or about this conversation? I typically call it that mic drop, but I feel like you've had 100 of those mics, those that I've had to keep picking up and piecing them back together, because you keep saying things that are speaking to me and resonating with me. But there are some people that are going to listen to this, and as they're falling asleep or pulling into work or whatever is happening right now, this is going to be that thing that they hold on to. What do you want people to take away from this?
I think the biggest thing is it's okay to ask questions. It doesn't, you asking questions doesn't have to be a negative thing. It doesn't mean you are questioning it in a bad way, or, just to question things, because you can. That's how you grow. And that's how other people grow, but that's how you grow. And if you constantly say yes to everything and accept everything without questioning it, you really aren't going to grow much. You are just going to take everything in and do everything that is asked or is told. And you can still do that, but questioning it at least lets you know what other people are thinking. And a lot of times that's how I learn the most, is when I learn how someone else is thinking of something. We all need the different perspectives. Your ideas are not the end all be all, and they don't have to be. You don't have to have all the answers, but somebody out there does have the answer to every question that you're going to ask. You just have to be willing to have those conversations and to find those answers.
That's good. That's good. It's what I get to do all the time in these podcasts, just sit around and ask questions. I feel like I'm so much smarter just by asking the questions to the people with the answers. So that's awesome advice. Awesome. Well done. So Meghan, some people will go back and read the show notes and figure out where to connect with you and start following you on all the places. For those people that just listen or just watch, how can people connect with you if they want to continue to follow your journey?
On Instagram or Twitter, it's mdeegan122. You can email me anytime at megan@teachbetter.com. You can Vox me. I'm trying to remember my Voxer handle though. I think it's like Deegan without the N. So I'm Deegan without the N, I think, but I'm not positive.
We'll throw that one in the notes. If you want a Voxer, it's in the notes.
Find me on Voxer. It's my favorite thing. I could not love it more. But yeah, I love to connect with everyone and anyone. So connect. Let's chat.
Awesome. That's awesome. And she will make you better, guaranteed. So follow her and just continue to learn and grow from this amazing human being. So Meghan, thank you so much for being here, for giving up so much of your time. I know that your time is precious and you deserve some you time tonight. So thank you for giving me some of your time. I appreciate it. And I'm sure the people listening benefited as well. So thank you so much.